Hello and welcome to my art tutorial. I'm going to teach you how to make a fluid art painting. First you're going to need a cup, you're going to need some paints. You can get these paints at a hardware store or a paint mixing store, whatever. Just get some little sample cups. You can get like 4 or 5 for about $15 or $20. It's really helpful. You can make at least 10 paintings with that amount of paint, depending on the canvases you use, really. For this video I've used a 12-inch by 12-inch canvas. When you're ready to actually pour the paint on, make sure you have a cup, several popsicle sticks on standby. I'll show you why later. But you take the cup and you pour the paint in like I was doing. Make sure you're not mixing, you just kind of layer it on top of each other. You can get a mixing medium. What I have is a glazing medium. It just adds some substance to the paint, makes it run easier, and just adds more to the liquid aspect of it, so there's a lot more that can spread over the canvas. There's a couple different ways that you can apply the paint to the canvas. What I did was I flipped the canvas over on top of the cup and then flipped both of them over, and then that's kind of my favorite way, because when you have bigger canvases and you have more paint in the cup, it just kind of like spreads out super fast right away, and it's just something fun that I like to watch happen. Other ways that you can do is you can cut into the cup when it's sitting like that upside down on the canvas. You can just kind of like squeeze the paint out, and that'll give it like a ripple effect that I've seen some people do. You can simply just leave the canvas sitting down and pour the cup on top of it. That's a viable thing that you can do. You can also get different effects by how you pour it on top. You can either pour it all in a corner and then like pick it up the canvas and tilt it down to the opposite corner, or you can just pour it all over the place and it'll give you different sections of colors. It's literally, this is one of the most experimental forms of painting that you can do. Don't be afraid to go back to your cup after you've done your initial pour. You'll have a lot of paint collecting down at the bottom that you can re-pour, and it'll kind of be like a slow drizzle at the very start, and it'll actually pay off because there will be a lot more paint in there than you would probably think. That entire red section that you can see was all just from like a little drizzle, and I actually did add some more paint to the cup for that. This is the red section that's just from the drizzle. But going back and adding more paint to the cup, or going back and making sure that you have it completely empty, is pretty helpful, especially when you can't afford paint. For this, make sure that you do have an area for it to sit without being disturbed, because the painting will take at least a day to dry because of how much paint there is. It's applied very thickly, and I realize that that's probably not a word. It's a very thick paint that's on there after it's laying down when you're finally done with it. But just make sure you have a spot where it won't be like knocked over, or nothing will fall on it or touch it, because it will mess up the painting, and it really sucks if you actually get it to a finished point that you enjoy and then you say drip more paint onto it, which I've done before, or like a bug lands in it and dies and it's now permanently a part of your painting, which has happened to me. Right here is where the popsicle stick can come in. You can smear the paint on the edges, because gravity will sometimes not like to be your friend, and it won't pour over the side like you would hope it would. You can use your finger. You actually have 5, so there's 5 different brushes basically that you can use right there. What I just did there, I've never really done before, but I didn't know what else to do in the time. I dipped my finger within the can of paint. If you're going to do that, make sure your fingers aren't covered in wet paint already, because you can run the risk of ruining that little cup of paint that you have. But yeah, right here I realized at the end that the dried paint that was on it from a previous painting that I'd done kind of added a little dimple or bubble effect underneath the top layer of paint that you're seeing. In my opinion, it actually made it come out even better.